I'm Reena Evers-Everette, and I am the proud daughter of Medgar Evers and the executive director of the Medgar Evers Institute.
How have you been feeling this weekend? What has it meant to you to be celebrating your father's 100th birthday?
My feelings are all over the place. It has been at a high level, which it still is. I might be a little tired, but it's at a high level. It's been such a joy for me, for my family, to be embraced by the community in the remembrance of my father and his legacy, and to help celebrate what would have been 100 years. It's been also a little painful for that memory, because how I wish that he was here and I could touch him. But to see his face, to see his words, to hear his voice has just been very healing to me. To hear people that have worked with him, people that have been impacted by him in the community, say the words of he was always compassionate, always caring. He was a visionary, and he was a strategist, and he did not want the limelight, but he wanted to do the work. That has been such a warm blanket of love for our family, and especially for me being the only girl. Seeing a picture of my dad hold me in his arms was one of my very favorite pictures, because I remember that day and I remember that feeling. It's so important to look at all of our heroes and sheroes. And I'm lucky because both of my parents are my heroes and sheroes, and community at large. And so with that, we are really embarking on not a new path, but a revised path of what they started and what was started even before them, in making sure that there's equality and the injustices are corrected, and more so the empowerment of our people and everyone on this world, in this world.
I absolutely want to get back to the continuation of your parents' legacy. I am very curious, though, about how surprised you've been, or if you have been surprised at all, in the breadth of impact that your parents' legacy has had, not just in Mississippi, but especially in Mississippi, but all over the place. Has anything surprised you in terms of how far that impact has gone?
It has. I've been contacted by people in the Congo. Friends of the Congo have come to this celebration of life. What has also been beautiful is the youth, and I'm saying youth, our younger generations, have been curious, have been listening, have been very, very attentive and wanting to know more about him, which was one of the goals of my mother and my Uncle Charles, is to say, don't let his life be in vain. Let us understand why he was here, because my father knew that he was here for a purpose, and he was trying to complete his purpose. And he did in ways that I did not know until some of the things that were said today by friends, civil rights activists, and said, do you know that your father started, he was one of the very first people who started COFO. Do you know that he was doing the work here before SNCC came in? And he was also, which is what I love, is that he was so inclusive. He understood that it does take a community, it does take a village to make things happen for the village, right? It's not a single leader that we have to wait on in order to tell us what to do, what we need to do for ourselves. And it takes all of us to say, okay, my neighbor needs some help. I need help. Collectively, we need help, and we can do this on our own. We don't have to wait for someone to come and save us. We need to do it and be empowered. And my father was very focused on economic empowerment. And he was very focused on being a good neighbor. And I just, very blessed because he was a great father. He came home to us, to his children. I have two brothers. One has passed on. My eldest brother, Daryl Kenyatta, has passed on. But my younger brother, James Van Dyke, is still with us. And of course, my wonderful mother, Merle Evers-Williams, is still with us. And as she says, I'm kicking, just not as high at 92. So to know that his legacy is being embraced by future generations and that it is going to continue on, his strategies, his plans that he's put in place with like the Tougaloo Nine. We talked to Mr. Cahey today. Dave Dennis was here, and Hezekiah Watkins, and so many other civil rights icons that were beaten, that were jailed. And to say Mr. Evers was there for us, to help us plan a better future for all of us. That makes me extremely proud.
With so many different stories being shared and so many different ideas also being shared, where are your thoughts now in terms of what can be used from your father's legacy, your mother's legacy, in order to better inform some of what people are hoping to call grassroots organizing nowadays, or organizing in general nowadays? How do you think it's changed also?
So there's two pieces, right?
Yes.
And it's really one. In my perspective, it was grassroots organizing. It took the grandparents, the parents, the youth, and I'm saying youth like from 13 and up, to make a movement, to make policy changes to what we are living with now. People died for that, okay? We made policy, there were policy changes that were made that are now trying to be erased. There's lifestyles and cultures that are trying to be erased. There's acknowledgement of our heroes and sheroes that are trying to be erased in public places, which means there's only a certain way of life that some of the people want to be. And that is the way before we had the Civil War. And it's way past that now. It's way past being enslaved. It is at a point, and has been at a point, and needs to continue to be, where we all work together, because guess what? We're all one. We might have different skin colors, but we're all one.
I guess, like, what are some of the more intimate details or understandings that you don't often hear
About the
reflected
families?
About, yes.
It's tough. It's growing up. I've been asked before, do you remember? I mean, I was 8.5 when my father was assassinated. You remember a lot at 8.5. And my father didn't, as much as my mother wanted him to, shield us from what was happening, because our house was like, the war room a lot of times. And so I didn't know that it was a war room. I just knew a lot of people were coming in. People came in to help with the movement. We had stars in, we had all kind of civil rights activists in all different age groups. And so I knew that my father was active in getting things right for us, because actually he told my mom that. He told us that I'm working for you. I want it to be a better life for you. And so with my brothers and sisters that are in civil rights families, as children, it's something that you don't always think about that's happening, but you know that they're making a difference, and you know that you have to go to a lot of meetings, and that they're gone a lot, and they might be on TV, or you might hear about them in the news, or in my case, hear a lot of threatening calls coming to our house, telling us how they were going to kill my father and kill us. One thing that good friends of mine, Yolanda King, the eldest daughter of Dr. King, Atala Shabazz, who is now Ambassador Atala Shabazz, the eldest daughter of Malcolm X, we connected and became best friends. And we said, we're in a club that no one should want to join. But going back to family and community is what keeps all the activists going, supporting. Because my father came home with a heaviness of the burden of making sure that tragedies were investigated, and to make sure that injustices and policies are changed. But he came home to us to make sure that he could make us laugh, and he could make us sing, and he could love on us. And that's the important thing.